Often people see appeasement as part of an asymmetrical relationship, a poor marriage or a poor social relationship. But appeasement is much more of a complicated interaction, and where the other individual, the aggressor one or the controlling person, basically doesn't think that anything's going on that's wrong, that there is getting enough cues that the person's okay. From my perspective, that appeasement is not just doing fulfilling the wills of the other, the will of the other. It's giving the other cues that you're on board, that you're interacting with them. So there is a duplicitous aspect to it, and not merely you win, I'm now appeasing you. So I think that's something totally different when you give up and you no longer are a force. I'm actually writing a paper on this where I'm talking to 3 different people who've been abducted, and there's books about all 3 of them now. And all 3 of them have a tremendous resentment to the concept of the Stockholm Syndrome. Because the Stockholm Syndrome is basically where people have been abducted and they've been told that you must have loved the guy. And appeasement is something different as you start investigating it from these people's experiences. Appeasement is a very skillful neurobiological strategy of survival, which provides sufficient cues to, let's say, the aggressor or the predator, whatever term we want to use, to make that individual believe that they can trust you. So in dealing with abductive people, they were literally cueing the other person that they're not going to run away, they're not going to hurt them, they're not going to do certain things, and including giving cues of optimism and energy. Now, this to me is remarkable, especially when you talk to the person tells you how they really felt and what their goal in life was to survive this so that their children could live a reasonable life. So to me, it was this really kind of miraculous synergism of the social engagement system, which is what we use to cue others that we are connected, but literally putting it into a more voluntary mode. And with another underlying physiology one, which had hopefulness, still had a desire to live, it had a sufficient amount of energy, so it was, in a sense, relatively well regulated. Appeasement comes out of a very resilient nervous system. And it's not available to everyone who is in, let's say, these difficult situations. So that when you read the books or meet the people who have done these things, survived it, you're basically in awe of how their body enabled them to function under those situations. So if we start to say that we treat people who have an appeasement issue by telling them to be assertive, we might be missing the dynamics of the relationship and of the history of relationships that the client has gone through. And we may be missing the, in a sense, valiant attempt that the client's nervous system has been able to navigate or enabled them to navigate in this very complex world. Because appeasement, for many, if they don't appease, there's injury on the other side of the equation. And not just verbal abuse, there's injury, physical injury. And verbal abuse could be enough, but I'm saying physical injury as well.